College Radio Day is back. Be sure to set your dial to WP 88.7 FM on Friday, October 3rd. This year, Brave New Radio presents you live performances by Alus at 2 p.m., Allison Strong at 4 p.m., and our live radio dramas at 8 p.m.
Don't forget to tune in and support College Radio Day.
WPSC-FM 88.7, Wayne, New Jersey.
Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network. Brave New Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the host and guest and are not necessarily supported by WPSC 88.7 FM, station management, or the station owner, William Patterson University. Anyone wanting to offer differing opinions may do so by calling the show at 973-720-2738. Abusive callers will be rejected. Now here's your program on WP 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you. And yes, if you can hear my voice, whether you're tuned in on the radio or whether you're on our web stream on gobrave.org, that means you're up and prepared to listen to another edition of The Reading Circle with Marc Medley, right here on WP 88.7 FM and gobrave.org, where we web stream around the world. We're heard here in the northern New Jersey area on WP 88.7 FM, but around the world, that's anywhere on the globe where there's internet connectivity, a computer and a set of speakers, or either on your mobile device, you can catch the show on Saturday mornings in whatever time zone you are in. Well, we are up and running again. Everything seems to be in place. My guest is on the line. She waits in the wings. We're going to go ahead and start in our customary ritual and routine, which is reading from our two books, as well as giving you the weather. I'll introduce my guest. We'll take a 10-second, 20, 30, 40-second information sharing time, and then we'll be underway with the interview. If you know anything about public speaking, they tell you to tell them what you're going to tell them. Late high of 71, 20% chance of rain during the day, moving to 60% chance of rain during the evening, cloudy with occasional rain after midnight, dropping to a low of 56, and then rounding out our forecast. Overcast with rain showers on Wednesday, 60% chance of rain, moving to a high of 66 and back down only a few degrees to a low of 55 on Wednesday night. 60% chance of rain on Wednesday night as well. So that rounds out our forecast. The weather is brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. Well, if you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you know that I kick it off reading from two books, positive passages that just sets the tone for the rest of the morning. So I tell you what, for today, out of the book, What Can Happen When We Pray, for September the 27th, it says, "Do not fear. Loving God, as I look out and see what appears to be ever-increasing odds against my peace, I ask that your Holy Spirit will abide with me and encourage me to do your will. Amen." Today's reflection: we live in times that are full of dangers and hate. I know that's right. Yet God calls us to faithful and to struggle against racism. It would be easier to give in and not fight for justice, but God tells us not to fear because God's Spirit is with us. Like our forebears who opposed slavery and Jim Crow racism, we too must stand up against injustice. The Lord states that all the silver and gold are ours. In other words, God holds our rule of how that could happen. Let's say you live 50 miles outside of town and you have no transportation. You might think that you need a car to get around. Granted, a car would make it more convenient for you to get around. It would make you feel a lot more comfortable knowing that if there was an emergency, you could get someplace fast. However, the truth of the matter is that you don't need a car, you want one. You have feet. There are bicycles. You probably have neighbors. Or perhaps you could be a bit more prudent about the situations you put yourself into and expect the universe to get you out of. There are angels around you at all times. Their job is to protect you from harm and provide you with the essentials of life. These angels do not interfere with your choices. When you ask for help, the angels will respond. When you call out to the angels to help you with a need and they discover that it is actually a want, they get really pissed. So watch it. Once you send your angels on a wild goose chase, they will be a bit slower about responding to your next call. Until today, you may not have realized that you were upsetting the angels who work on your behalf. Just for today, get clear about the difference between what you need and what you want. When you call upon your angels for help, be clear about what you are asking for. Today I'm doing it is a different mix. But her name is C.M.Writer, at least that's her pen name, C.M.Writer. And C.M. has appeared on Charlotte, North Carolina radio, television, and podcast broadcasts as an interviewer, guest, co-host, and expert analyst. C.M. is an attorney licensed in North Carolina, writer, and consultant with a corporate media and entertainment background. She appears as a legal expert on Charlotte Radio. As a columnist and social media manager, her work has covered sports stars, actors, and Grammy-winning entertainers. She graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill with a BA in political science as a James H. Johnson Scholar. She graduated from the North Carolina Central University School of Law with a JD and is licensed in North Carolina and federal courts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Reading Circle microphones and airwaves, C.M.Writer. C.M., good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Well, I tell you what, as I said, as we go through the agenda, if you will, I'm going to go ahead and share some information with the listening audience because it's about 6:10 and we have some public service announcements for them. And then as soon as they're done, we're going to come right back and jump right into where it all began.
Okay.
All right.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
This year, firefighters like Fire Chief James Hall will battle wildfires around the country in hopes of containing them. But firefighters can't do it alone.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile, where it can ignite and destroy your home and community.
Get fire adapted. Learn simple steps you can take now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
So,
yes. Wow, never heard of it, but
that's why we say Wilmington, because everybody's heard of Wilmington. They know Wilmington, that's, down there on the water. But I am well aware of your area as well. Matter of fact, oddly enough, my mom lives in Georgia now, and last year, whenever I went down to see her, I actually flew into Charlotte's airport. Nice area. I love that area.
Oh, it's lovely.
I saw it from the air as I was coming in, and I said, wow, this looks like it's a very nice area. And then I got in the airport, and I said, this is a nice area. And then I had friends that started moving down there, calling back, saying, it's great down here. So, all right. So now your latest book is Your Boyfriend's Best Girlfriend. Correct?
Yeah.
That's the latest one. Now, we're going to work our way up to that because I always say we're going to start from where it all began and we're going to work our way up because I always take my listeners through a journey. I don't have a pat set questions, but I kind of take them through a journey with similar type questions. So the first question, that is pat, is kind of where did the whole writing begin? Was it something you did as a child in grammar school or elementary school, whichever way you call it? Or is it something that came later in life in college or high school, or the fact that you're an attorney and had to do a lot of writing? Where did it all start?
Apparently this happened early in life, but I honestly don't remember. I remember in 5th grade, I had a teacher who wrote my yearbook. Her name is Ms. Witherspoon. And she wrote my yearbook, I want an autographed copy of your first book. And I remember when she wrote it, and I would look at her like, what is she talking about? I'm not writing any books. And so what she told me, like, I'm still in contact with her to this day. What she told me was I was extremely creative back then. And I guess so. I told creative stories, I guess. And so I started back in 5th grade, probably earlier. But I never actually wanted to be a writer. That was never a goal of mine. I had no desires whatsoever. And what actually happened was transitions in life took me to writing.
Oh,
I always loved to read, yeah.
There you go. There's the connection. Good. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Keep going, because you're hitting on some points we're going to discuss.
Okay, so transitions in life led me to writing. My number one goal since I was 6 years old was to become an attorney. That was it. All of this other stuff that has happened since then was just life journey, trials, tribulations, all those things. So I really started writing during a down period in my life. That breakup, career move in the wrong direction, family stuff going on, health issues with family, and I fully took on writing when I moved to Charlotte briefly in 2006. That was before my final move here. And I was just really down and I would say depressed, and I started writing to other people. So at my job, I would send motivational messages every morning to my coworkers. And I was doing it to motivate them, but it was also kind of motivating me too. And,
that's right.
And so in that, writing was my therapy. And so I had a coworker who would print out, I would email, so they would print out these messages I sent every single morning like clockwork. And I wasn't really paying attention, and he came up to me. He was like, you really should put these in a notebook and keep them. And I was like, what? For what? He was like, no, they help me. And he was like, I put them in my pocket, and I take them out every day, and I'll read them. And, they really help me. And I was like, really? Okay.
Like if you say
deep, going to the core of people's conversations. And the more I had them with people, the more I was able to deal with what I was going through, because I saw that I wasn't the only one going through. And it was enlightening and therapeutic, and so it spurred from there. So that was 2006. I actually moved to Charlotte in 2009. It was supposed to be temporary, and it turned into permanent, I guess.
That's right.
I moved here, and I started writing a column just on a whim, because everyone kept telling me, you shouldn't write, you should do it, just do it. I'm like, have nothing. And they were like, just do it. And so it started with Examiner. I applied to Examiner, and they accepted me. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I did it, so I might as well go ahead and go through with it. So I did, and that kind of launched where
it was coming out, and now you're sharing things with your coworkers, and you're hearing the same message. You know what? You need to write. You ought to write. People are seeing that. They're feeling that. And it is interesting to listen to that. And then you said you were now sharing like your little nuggets every day, and people were like really taking note of them to the point where it was like being an inspiration for them. Again, we never know, something that we take totally for granted. Like someone else is actually blessing and helping them. And then the other point that I picked up on, and I can truly feel this, because I know when I was going through a rough time, I wound up with like 20 journals over a number period of time, over a number of years. I still have them now. They're locked away. But, the writing can be therapeutic, particularly if you're going through a bad time, because it's kind of like, you can write things down in a book or a journal somewhere and lock them away. Nobody else have to know what it is but you.
Exactly. You and God.
Exactly. It's almost like another way of talking to God, except for your writing. And again, as long as the fidelity is not breached of somebody breaking into it or stealing it or breaking into your privacy or whatever, that's your thoughts.
Exactly.
So it can become therapeutic. You can write down whatever you want. I mean, you can just let it all hang out. But see, again, even with that, though, you're developing the skill. You're developing a skill even with that. And so all those things, as you were sharing that, and the funny thing is, you're not the first author I've had on the air that says, I never wanted to be an author. I didn't know I was an author. I still, even though I have a published book, don't consider that. I need to share some more information. But when we come back, because I know you all are going to wait out there in the audience with bated breath, because I want to hear these myself. In terms of the dating, common sense dating, not just dating, but common sense. So let someone know that C.M.Writer is on the air with me. Again, she is in the media as well, so she knows the rules of radio, which I love. Because CM, sometimes I get guests on there that give me a bunch of dead air, and they really make me work.
Like, what can I do with that?
You're right. I mean, they really make me work. And then I have other folks who know the deal, know the game, just like you do, that knows keep it going, keep it moving, keep it flowing. And that means I don't have to work as hard. So I'm going to share this information with you. We're going to come back and learn about the common sense dating. All right. So stay there, folks. Let folks know that me and CM are on the air, that they can go to their computers on gobrave.org. And if they're up in the northern New Jersey area, the New York area, they can tune in to WP 88.7 FM. Get on all your social media sites, every last one of them. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, on down the line, Instagram, every last one of them you may have. Get on there and say, tune in to gobrave.org now, because they don't want to miss what CM and I are talking about.
I started going cold turkey. Well, at least when I'm in the car.
I know I shouldn't do it, but it's so hard to stop. That's why I hide it from myself, so I won't be tempted.
I used to do it all the time. I stopped by locking it in my glove compartment.
My friend used to do it way too much. Now I turn it off when we're in the car.
My solution is simple. I just don't do it.
There are lots of ways to stop yourself and others from texting and driving. How will you stop? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Think carrying 10 or 20 pounds of extra weight isn't much? We went to a park, handed 10 and 20-pound sandbags to people aged 45 to 60, and asked if we could follow them around.
10 pounds makes a big difference. Oh, I definitely felt it in my knees.
A few extra pounds each year can cause joint pain and lead to serious chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Wouldn't you like to drop that weight and stop picking up more? Visit hhs.gov/1 pound at a time to find out how. Obesity happens 1 pound at a time. So does preventing it. Brought to you by HHS and NIH.
Listen to Brave New Radio on your smartphone with TuneIn Radio.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
That's right. This is The Reading Circle. And if you heard CM whenever she was describing kind of how it all began, she said, I always love reading. And so have I, and that was the impetus for the show. And the hope is that those of you who listen, that you will hear something that will pique your curiosity, A, to go out and purchase the book, because, again, that's why the authors and the artists come on, because we're sharing their work with you with the hope that you will indeed support them and purchase the book. And they give you enough to make it interesting enough to because we're not going to tell you everything. We want you to go out and get the book. So CM's first book, as we talked about prior to going to the information sharing time, because CM, I don't call them breaks no more. I'm scared people may leave and not come back. So I say information. I'm sharing some information with you. Don't go anywhere.
Stick around.
That's right. Stay somewhere near your speakers. I'm just sharing this information with you. Don't leave. So I don't even tell them we're going on break because I'm not going anywhere. But prior to us sharing the information with you, CM talked about gave us the title of her first book, which was said in A Common Sense Guide to Dating. Was that it?
It was called 100 Common
Sense. A prolific dater.
and I mean that in a good way.
I know. That's why I say I'm not mad at you.
And in that, I'm like, you go through things in life for a reason. So why have I had all of these dates over this period of time? And I can't say I've had, bad situations, really. I've had a couple. It happens. But on the whole, you will never catch me saying, oh, men are horrible people, da-da-da-da.
Right.
They just do me. No, that has not been my experience on the whole.
Right.
And so I was like, since I've had these good things, and I've mostly, for the most part, had men treat me really well, and I hear a lot of complaints where people are saying this isn't happening to them, or even guys saying that women don't treat them well. And I was like, well, what have I experienced that people are not experiencing? And so that's where it came from. I was like, well, let me dig into some of the things I've actually experienced and talk about that in the way that I have dated, and it hasn't been a bad thing. I've actually enjoyed it, had fun, been treated well, treated people well.
Now, in terms of you, like now, because a lot of time, particularly, and again, I'm speaking, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen to other ethnic groups or other women, but I know, and since I'm African American, I can speak within the African American community. But I know for many of our African American women, particularly those who are extremely well educated or extremely well degreed, a lot of time dating really does become an issue because either they're trying to find someone equal or above them educationally or financially. And sometimes that's a challenge, sadly, and I hate to say that, but sometimes it's a challenge which kind of causes some of the issues. Have you found that at all?
Let me be honest with you. I think I have been spoiled in that the areas where I've lived have been very highly educated. I mean, I lived in Durham, North Carolina for some years. It's one of the most educated areas in the country. And so I come to Charlotte, and I'm around, the banking industry, so I'm running into more, and, like, professional athletes, like, it's here, so it's my area more so I can't say I've had that issue.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of times you have to think about where you are and make some moves. If it's not working where you are, move.
Right. Well, that's kind of really getting down to the simple, back to that common sense again. But it's true though, because I say again, I've heard a lot. I can't find a good man. I can't find. And a lot of times, and now then when I asked the previous question, I don't want folks to misunderstand me. I'm not saying if you don't have education, because a lot of times that's where the women run into the problem, because they're connecting education and finance with whether the person is a good person or not. That's where they get misled. Because you can have you can have an educated fool. I mean, you can have someone who's educated and they're financially well off, but they don't know how to treat people. And you can have just the reverse, someone that don't have a lick of education, but they do know how to treat another person. So I want to make sure, don't walk away from here saying Marc Medley. No, Marc didn't say that. But I asked the question because I know it is an issue, and for a lot of women, and it's funny, I'm looking on your site and I say PJ Morton, and I mistook it for Janks Morton. And I was just looking at Janks's, he posted some statistics, because we're always saying there's more black men in jail or in prison than it is in college. And Janks is constantly saying, no, that's not true. Statistically, that's not true. But that is the myth, that we have more African-American men in prison than we do in colleges, which now makes it tougher. If that is the case, it makes it tougher for African-American women to find if they're looking for African-American men that are at their level. So when you start talking about some of these tips, let's share a few. Since you have 100 of them, look, you have it in front of you, or them off the top of your head, you can share a couple with the audience?
I don't have it in front of me, but I can tell you one of them is about your attitude and your appearance.
I know that's right. Now, that is a common sense one there.
Yeah, it is common sense. People enjoy being around people they enjoy being around.
That's right.
So, appearance, I know one of them was appearance matters, and this is something that my mom was always saying to me, and I was just like, whatever. I was a tomboy growing up, And I actually talk about that in the second book, where it's like chapter 2, Mommy Made Me Pretty. And so I was like, I never got into the whole appearance thing. Like, I'm not a lady who goes and gets her hair done every week. Like, I never bought into that. However, what I realized was number one, someone has to be attracted to you, period. You may think you are the best looking, best smelling, best whatever in the world. However, that's how you feel about yourself. If you're trying to attract someone else, they have to also have that feeling coming towards you as well. So you should take care of your appearance.
That's right.
That's the first thing someone acknowledges about you. It catches his or her eye or what have you. And so you have to keep that in mind. That doesn't mean you have to, get all glamazoned up or, all swagged out. That is not that. Someone needs to know that in your natural state, you will be something cute to wake up to. I'm just being honest.
and I'm right there with you, because ladies, and that tip may or may not be in the book, but an extension of that is whatever you did to keep the brother, please keep doing it once you get the brother. So if
and vice versa.
Right. When I say that, I'm saying it both ways. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know how to say it unisexually, but yes, it works both ways. Whatever you do to get the brother or the sister, keep doing that once you get them. Because, there's some that feel like, okay, I did all the glam thing and I got you. Now that I got you, I don't have to do nothing else. I can look just as bad as I want to look.
No. I would say do stuff at the level that you can keep it going. Like, that's one thing. Like, if you know you can't keep that up, don't do it.
Right. Now, the other piece of that you said, even more so than the physical attractiveness, is the attitude. And now, I cannot express to the listening audience enough. The attitude makes all that you could have, the finest brother or sister, man or woman. But with a stank, as we call it, attitude, quote unquote, S-T-A-N-K, with a stank attitude, it kills any of that physical outward beauty at all. If given a choice, and I'm not saying I want anybody ugly, but if given a choice between inner beauty and outer beauty, I'll take the inner beauty.
Yeah, because that's going to last longer anyway. And that's the thing, like, for one, and I see a lot of disgruntled people walking around, a lot of very bitter, hurt people, and I understand the bitterness and the hurt. But look at it this way. Is that something you actually want to be around every day?
Right.
No. Nobody wants to be around that every day. And so I'm not saying hide who you are or hide what's going on with you. I'm saying work at it, heal it, fix it. And so you don't have to be that person every day. It's a journey in life, and you can actually heal some of those hurts and pains that you've gone through and get over it and be the better part of who you were meant to be. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the hurt and the bitterness, and then on top of their hurt and bitterness, they expect somebody else to be able to handle it and deal with them and put up with it.
That's right.
Nobody wants to put up with that. Nobody wants to have to handle you.
That's right.
Nobody wants that.
I am so with you in terms of, first off, I agree with you. Life is too short, and it is going quicker and quicker. And secondly, no one wants to be around somebody else who's miserable. At least I know. Right. At least I know I don't. I'm constantly telling, will you please lighten up? You know what? Laugh, smile. Let's have some fun. I can't deal with that glum, depressed, always like, what's wrong? I'm going to promo one of the other shows that we have around here because we have a bunch of different shows. If you tune in to gobrave.org, it is a smorgasbord. The station is very eclectic, and that's the beauty of it. That's why it's called Brave New Radio, because we can put just about anything on here.
I like that.
And we have just about any type of show for any type of taste that you could possibly imagine. So I'm going to promo one of those shows.
Starring Maltese Award winner Diamonds. Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Brave New Radio. Club Melting Pot. Only on WP 88.7 FM.
My name is Diamonds. I am a radio DJ in North Jersey. I broadcast on the frequency of 88.7 FM. I will be on the air every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. when the sun is setting in the sky. If you are out there, if anyone is out there, I can provide music, I can provide entertainment. If there's anybody out there, anybody, please.
Club Melting Pot. Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Only on WP 88.7 FM. Brave New Radio.
88.7 FM. We're braver than putting a lobster down your pants. We're braver than telling your boss he has the IQ of a Tootsie Roll.
We have sort of a problem here.
We're braver than not brushing your teeth, ever.
Don't stare at me! I'll end you! Run! Yeah!
Brave New Radio, 88.7 FM.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Well, you've heard all the things we are braver than. There's a long list of them, things that we are braver than. But you are indeed listening to Brave New Radio right here on WP 88.7 FM and gobrave.org. And right before I shared those promos with you, We talked as we work our way to your boyfriend's best girlfriend. If you heard CM earlier, she said as she was growing up, she was a tomboy. What does...
No, it was amazing, and it helped me build relationships with men that just weren't steeped on us having relations or us, having romantic, inclinations towards each other. We actually built bonds like friendships, real life, deep, hardcore friendships. Now, what it actually means practically was I actually dressed like a boy. I wore boy sneakers. I would, in the book I talk about, I think there's a chapter on my dad. I talk about how I would sneak into his closet and wear his clothes when he went to work. And so, it was really hardcore. I played sports, the whole nine, everything you would think of to an extent, because that being a tomboy has changed as of late. But back in my day, it has, and so I have to be clear about some things.
Right. Well, and that's right. And there's an old Seinfeld episode, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, where Jerry just keeps on saying, "There's nothing wrong with that."
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So yes, things have changed, and so for those of you, right, we're not saying anything against it. I mean, that's
exactly.
whatever you're trying. But there is a difference, and I laugh because, as you say, tomboy, because on my block, prettiest little girl. But when I say tomboy, I mean she give them boys the business. When they're out there playing football, she is there. If they riding bikes, she is there. If they're bouncing the basketball, she is there. If they're playing tag or Gorman or whatever games they play now, man or whatever they call it, she is there. And usually she's leading the pack.
Exactly.
And the prettiest little thing going, she is. I mean, she's about maybe 9, 10, 12, somewhere. I don't think she's no more than 12. But I sit there, my wife and I would sit here, if we're out on the porch or either if we're walking and we'll see her, and I say, that little girl, it's funny to watch. It really is. But you are so right in terms of the relationship building from the standpoint between the sexes. Because... and this is where a lot of people, back to the dating thing, get messed up. They truly do not believe that a male and a female could be friends unless they're having sex. You have people that really get messed up over that. So a lot of people in relationships get messed up over that because they just can't believe. And that's why I see your title is your boyfriend's best girlfriend. What do you call it? That, people get messed up over that. They just can't believe. I mean, there's a whole scene in when... What is it? When Sally, whatever. What's the thing with Billy Crystal?
Harry Met Sally?
Yes, when Harry met Sally, they're at this dinner having this discussion, and that's what he and what's her name, Meg Ryan, or whoever the girl is that's playing the part. That's what they're talking about. They're debating on, is it possible for a male and female to be friends, just like two women or two men are, unless they're sexually active. And what do you call it? But as you come up, as you say, a tomboy, and you grow up around, because I mean, I know a lot of women like that who just had all brothers. They didn't have any sisters, so they grew up with their brothers, so that's who they played with, so they became more like the little boys than they did little girls, even though they were fully female. But it is, where I'm going with this is that it is possible for males and females to be the best of buds and just have no sexual intentions whatsoever.
Exactly. It's hard because people don't believe it. And actually, I tackle all of that in the book. It's chapter 13. Friends did not become lovers, and I titled that because that's the thought process. Whenever you say, boyfriend's best girlfriend, or when you say I have homeboys, like that has caused issues before. And trying to explain that for someone who, at the core of who they are, have never experienced it, so they don't know what it's like. It's hard to get them to that mindset. So actually, in the second half of the book, Conversations, that's where I'm talking to guys about it. Because a lot of times women listen to men about relationships more than they listen to other women. And so I was like, I'm going to let a guy, the bad, the good, the stupid, the goofy, all of that. He doesn't have to put on the show, so we actually have real discussions. And so it's different than the friendships I have with my female friends in some respects, because guys are a little bit more harsh and crude.
Right.
But I like that because that's what I grew up around. Like, I grew up around, talking trash and doing the dozens and all that stuff without feelings getting hurt. And if feelings got hurt, people fought, and then they got over it.
That's right. Unfortunately, that's different today, too.
Yeah, oh, God, so unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is, because it's just totally, like I said, I'm in an urban area, whereas if you step on somebody's toe, you stand a chance of getting shot. So it is like, I mean, it is that bad. And because just like what you just said is what I describe to the kids all the time. Like, look, when I was growing up, you shot the one, that was it, and everybody got back together at the end of the day. But in today's environment, you shoot the one, it may be your last one. And so, right, I mean, so that's sad too. But going back to what we were talking about in terms of males and females, for me personally, my preference, now my best friends growing up are guys. There's two. That the three of us were like, I mean, there's actually four of us, but one was the younger brother of and he actually he's like 4 or 5 years younger, so we had no choice. He was in. And so he grew up as a best friend as well. But I have maybe 2, 3 like male friends that, I mean, we just have been together almost since birth. But beyond that, most of my really close friends are females. And it's always kind of been that way. It's always been like, and I love, in terms of, like you said, being able to talk trash with, like I said, to me, that is like the ultimate, that whenever you get offended, that is not like offended or not like shocked or thrown off whenever you come off with a off comment or a sexual comment or this, that, and the other, it doesn't throw them. So to be with somebody that you have that ability to just let your hair down and say what you want to say, however you want to say it, and you're not looked at to be judged, or you're not looked at like, I can't believe you said that. Like, nah, that's a beautiful. And again, like you said, it's not a sexual thing. It's not I'm not trying to date you. I'm not trying to get you in bed. You just like a best bud. But as I said earlier, a lot of people don't, like you said, to try to explain that type of relationship to somebody that can't see it, it is difficult.
It is, and that's what, like, you have to, and just taking it into your relationship, like, you have to meet people as who they are, not who you want them to be.
Right.
And so I would say lay all of that on the table. It is hard because people don't want to be vulnerable, and so you create all these expectations, and you try to live up to expectations you never intended to keep. Which is, for my guy friend, censoring all of that bravado and censoring and playing into the super romantic dude when he's not like that all the time. Like, eventually it's going to wear off.
Right.
And so you should show her who you are in the earlier stages so she can see whether or not that's what she wants to keep dealing with.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that's in the common sense tips. Now, if that's not in the 100 common sense, that can be 101. But it's true. As you can see, I love to laugh. I love to play. I really do. And that's who I am, regardless of who I'm with or where for me, if I don't have fun doing it, eventually I'm going to stop doing it. And that's kind of been like my journey. It's like, now look, once the fun is gone, now look out.
It's gone.
So let's keep this moving. Let's keep the fun in there, because if I don't have fun doing it, eventually I'm stopping. And
completely.
Yes. So, in terms of now, because you said you didn't see yourself as a writer, you didn't think you were going to write. When you went into the whole, because I'm going to shift gears a little bit, because you got your topic and everything together, what was kind of like for you to get it published in the process? Did you self-publish? Did you go to a publishing house? What was that experience like for you?
Initially, I was going to self-publish, and then I was like, well, let me check out these publishing houses. And then I went back to self-publishing. I was just like, because I want control.
Yes.
And I want to tailor my message how I want it to go out, because I know what the intent behind the book was. And honestly, I have a friend who's a colleague who's also an attorney and a writer who did recently go to a publishing house, and her book is picked up or whatever. And I was like, I want actually to be a part of this, and not have someone dictate to me when they don't know the true meaning and intent behind the book.
Right.
Because, the book, the title alone will make people give me the side eye.
That's right.
And I don't want people to take it for what it's not. Like, there's a double meaning to the book.
Right.
And I want that to be portrayed, and I know that I can do that better than somebody who has no intimate connection with the book. So I stuck with self-publishing, and I did it through a website that actually distributes through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other publishing book warehouses.
So as you said, the title would cause one to look at you sideways. Have you had that happen?
All the time. Look, I was on air a couple years ago, back when the TV show The Game was premiering on BET. And so Wendy Raquel Robinson was one of the guests, and she was calling in, and so the host allowed me to ask her a couple of questions. So I introduced her to my blog, which has the same title, Your Boyfriend's Best Girlfriend, and she was like, hold up, what? No, I don't think I want my man having the best girlfriend. No, you need to explain yourself. I was like, oh, Lord. This is my first time talking to, a celebrity or whatever. And I was like, oh, Lord, let me pull this together. And I was like, let me explain. It's not what you think.
Right.
And so I was like, the best thing you can do is be friends with, and a true friend, because there are some people who have these shaky, sketchy, not real friendships, but they call it that, but they're doing something else. That's not me.
Right.
I have never been with romantically any of my homeboys at all. No kiss, no nothing, none of that. And so when I say friend, we are friends. And I have homeboys who are married, and I meet their wives during the courtship. And I'm like, let's lay this on the table. This is who I am. Ain't nothing going on. Just so you know, I want to be cool with you, too, because you're an extension and a part of him.
That's right.
And so, and I'm honest and upfront about that. So, yeah, I always get the side eye.
But you know what? Again, in terms of this business, sometimes that's not a bad thing, because that's what attracts and gets the attention. And in this business, that's what you want. You want people like, wait a minute, let me see what this is about. Let me look at the back cover. Let me look at the flap. Let me see who the author is. You want people to kind of, like, the title to jump out at them. So a lot of times if it's a little bit odd, that may work for your advantage. The other thing is, for me, I love play on words. So for me, that would catch my eye right off the bat. Okay, your boyfriend's best girlfriend. All right, let's see what that's all about. So like I said, in this business, it actually could work to your advantage. So it is actually, is it a soft cover, a hardcover book, or is it just ebook?
It's soft cover book. You can get it through Lulu.com, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble, and my website.
Then I finally connected it. I said, same person. I'm like, okay, so I was clear. I was good then. But I just wanted to make sure, because I know the listening audience knows most of my guests I wind up booking through social media. And so CM and I met through LinkedIn. And that's how we wound up being here today. And again, I was, I know I had put you down. As a matter of fact, I thought I had made a typo. Whenever I saw your real last name and your pen last name, I said, well, maybe I typed it in wrong. But so this is her pen all about.
The blog was actually the foundation for the book. I started the blog, I think, in 2010, and it was just supposed to be the foundation for the book, which just got finished this year. And so there's a section on there where it's called What He Said, and so in that I talk to guys about different relationship issues. Some of that is actually in the book. So I talk to a lot of different guys about relationship stuff. And so giving them a voice, and what I say is the battle of the sexes, where they're usually the losers on the emotional tip.
Right.
And so I want them to show, who they are without the veneer of being strong and tough and manly or whatever. But to show women that there's another side of men that often we don't see unless you have that intimate type of friendship with him. And so that was the main section, but it kind of turned into a whole lot of other stuff. It became a lifestyle blog, so I blog about everything. I think my latest blog is actually about domestic violence and the whole Ray Rice situation and things like that, and I have a completely different take on it than the mainstream. And I'm just saying, my blog is The Critical Thinker, and I'm kind of the same way, because I took the whole thing with Ray Rice saying, truth be told, we all had a little hand in that, because with athletes, we give them this air, this feeling of entitlement, and we do that from the time they play Pee-wee. That's true.
All the way up the line, we make them feel as if they're entitled to do anything they want to anybody they want, however they want. So I kind of took it from that perspective, which was kind of like, I guess people are like, what? Yes, we do. Yes, we do, because we glorify these people. We really do. I mean, and that's where I kind of came from. That's why I had a kid, and I wrote this in the blog. I was principal of a school, and he was 8th grade. He was my star basketball player. My team went undefeated that year. This kid, actually in 8th grade, mind you, thought he was entitled to oral sex from all the little girls in the school. And had the audacity to tell the teacher, I'm not worried because I can't get a sexually transmitted disease from oral sex. I said, now see, that's just how much you don't know.
Oh, my God. That's him being young.
That's just how much you don't know. But he felt, because he was the star basketball player, that he was entitled to this. I'm not making it up. I was there. I lived it. Matter of fact, the teacher came running, flying into my office when he told her that in a huff. And so I know from what I was saying, once these kids get on track of being like extremely good from that point on, and that's why me and my mind, I believe we're having all this, and because they're doing all this stuff because, well, no one's ever stopped me before. And so anyhow, we as Sophia can say in Golden Girls, we digress. But I told you I'm crazy. I love to laugh. I love to have fun. I really do.
First one. And that was not intentional until I finished this one. So now it's intentional. So there'll be 2 more in this series of Your Boyfriend's Best Girlfriend. So this is kind of foundational.
Right.
So I talk about, everything from parents to friendships to relationships, all the way up through, people's marriages, divorce, the whole 9.
Right.
And so I cover the foundational things, and so the next 2 are actually going to go more specifically into particular topics.
Okay, well, this is the last minute or so. You have to promote. Let them know your websites, any book signings, upcoming projects, how they can get in touch with you. This is I'm going to shut the mic button off, and you go at it.
All right. Well, I would really love for you to read Your Boyfriend's Best Girlfriend, A Tomboy's Guide to Knowing, Loving, and Understanding Men. Both titles have a double meaning. Your boyfriend's best girlfriend could be you or, his actual best female friend who is not you. But it goes into how you become a good friend to someone. And A Tomboy's Guide, that part of the title is actually not necessarily meant for the reader, but it actually takes you through my journey and growing up as a tomboy and how that affected my relationships, both with my parents, my friends, and romantic relationships. The second half is conversations, and in that we actually talk to men about different things, and everything actually leads up to something. It's a journey. So the first conversation I have is with a man who happens to be in prison, and it is about choices, consequences, and the decisions you make. And so that's why you should read this book. It goes deep. It gets really deep, and throughout there are spatterings of lessons that I've learned that actually I think will help other people. And so that's why you should read this, and it covers so many topics at a level that most people don't talk about them. There's no, this is how you get a man. No, it's more how do you heal from the hurt you've been through? How do you actually have communication with people? So you can find that on my website, www.cmwriter.com, and you can follow me on Twitter, cm_writer, or at @ybbbg_blog. So you can find the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Us at 2 p.m. Allison Strong at 4 p.m. And our live radio dramas at 8 p.m.
Don't forget to tune in and support College Radio Day.
WPSC-FM 88.7, Wayne, New Jersey.
Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network. Brave New Radio.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
All right, let's see what's going on in the Wayne, New Jersey area. We are at 56.7 degrees, and that is a real feel, actually, of 56.8. So the temperature is moving up a little bit. Expect areas of patchy fog early. We're going to be sunny, high of 83, even though we didn't get there yet, but that's where we're moving towards. Even though we're at 56, we're moving that way. Actually, we're hovering right now around our low for tonight. The weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. We are getting ready to transition now and roll over into the good news in song. Had a wonderful time speaking with C.M.Writer in the first hour of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. And then we're going to roll right on into the M&M Hour, which is the good news in song, which rolls right on into Martha and Friends. Even though it's the same host, and even though we have the same format for 2 of the hours, we did that purposely. I do that purposely rather than calling the entire 3 hours the Reading Circle or the entire 3 hours Martha and Friends. We break it up so that you have a clear cut definition of what each hour is all about. So M&M Hour and Martha and Friends Hour, both of them are gospel music. And then every now and again, if I double book the Reading Circle, then we will have a Reading Circle doubleheader or a Reading Circle tripleheader. And we have a couple of Reading Circle doubleheaders coming up because that's whenever I start running out of calendar space and I really want to get everybody in on the same year. So I'll do doubleheaders, and especially when I have like powerful guests coming. So a lot of times I will schedule them as doubles, and then sometimes it's even a triple. So in any event, it is exciting to be here, an exciting time to be in radio, and I love what I do. So we're going to get ready for the M&M Hour.